Hi everyone, welcome to the Sharon Gao Show. Today our guest is my friend Bonita Carmel, and Bonita is a personal trainer and also she's also occupational therapist, NLP practitioner, and a health and wellness coach. With over 7 years of experience working in the NHS and mental health sector, she currently works as a psychological therapist working with adults on a one-on-one individual basis, delivering CBT treatment for physical health conditions, depression, and a range of anxiety disorders. Hi, Bonita. Thank you so much for being here. How are you
No, thank you
doing
for having
today?
me. Oh, I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. We wanted to talk about today, obviously, about weight management and mental
Yeah,
health is big, right? So our
yeah.
topic is like how we can change. So how you can change your thinking and stop sabotaging your weight loss journey, because weight management is a universal topic. It's like
Yeah,
everyday topic. It's all everybody's
yes,
agenda, right? If it's not a lifetime mission, it's some point for sure.
definitely.
But we talk about weight management, weight loss, or weight gain so much, but
Mhm.
rarely we think about how it actually impacts people's mental
Mm,
wellness and
yeah,
and even overall health, right? So
yeah.
what do you suggest? What would be the first thing you would suggest for people who want to get on the journey of weight management or weight loss?
One of the things I would definitely suggest is kind of like what you touched on, really, is that, this concept of our physical health being so important for our mental health and that relationship between the two. So, the first thing I would definitely suggest is really mentally preparing yourself for your weight loss journey. And what I mean by that is really asking yourself a set of questions of, why is this goal so important to me? What are the specific personal reasons and benefits for me losing this weight? So, for example, some people might say, "Oh, I really want to lose weight for my kids," and that's great. But what is it, specifically about losing weight for your kids that makes that so meaningful for you? It could be that you didn't have a healthy role model when you were growing up, which you think is really important for your children. So you think that you're thinking about being that role model for your kids so that they learn healthy habits at a young age. Or it could be that it's your 10th daughter's birthday coming up and you know that she wants to celebrate as a family at a local theme park, and you want to be able to feel fit enough to walk around the park and maybe even go on some of the rides and fit comfortably and just add to that day. So it's really individual and it's really specific, and those kind of questions is what's going to encourage you to really connect with this overall journey and why it's so important to keep you motivated. So you might also ask yourself questions like, why is this the right particular time for me to lose weight? Why is now the right time to focus on it? Is it actually the right time to focus on it? How would your life be different? What would you be doing more of? What would you be doing less of? And what's the goal beyond the goal? Because I think a lot of people forget to ask that. What, when you reach your goal, what's next? Is that it? Is it a short-term fix, or could it be part of a longer health goal to help you maintain a healthy weight, where you're implementing routine healthy habits that helps you lower your weight over a steady period over time? So
I
it really,
I really love your thinking, and I think it's just such an important perspective. It's like
yeah,
people just well, like, oh, I feel like I'm getting weight, I'm overweight, right? And then
yeah,
they get scared and they just jump on whatever they
yeah,
feel like it can be a solution, without really thinking about why I am doing this, and
yeah,
what are the real reasons behind this. I think it's just so
yeah,
important, because it's weight management is really it's an everyday thing. I mean,
yeah,
we do need to manage our weight so we don't get, it's for health purposes. It's
yeah, of
not
course.
just for losing weight or gain weight, right? It's
No,
for like lifestyle. And so
exactly.
it's so
Yeah,
important to have this like very clear and individual and perspective to
yeah,
start with. So to get it going, so you have a clear idea, so you know the why behind the mission, and you know how, and you know exactly what you want to do. So these are very
yeah.
very important. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think that's kind of why it's so important for me, because it's obviously touches on something quite personal. And I've experienced myself what it feels like to have your mental health impact on, because you don't feel like your weight is where it should be, or you don't feel comfortable in your size. And, it's really important to tackle it so that it doesn't become sort of a vicious cycle. And, I think once you sort of gather those answers and think about that and spend some time really considering that, that's when you can use that information to start creating some really personally convincing reasons and advantages of why you want to lose weight. And what some people tend to do is, once they've asked themselves those questions, is put together maybe a list of reasons that they then read daily to keep yourself reminded of why this goal is so meaningful, and to keep revisiting it, maybe once in the morning, throughout the day, and also before bed as well, just to keep that going. And some people might want to print it up in their room and have that list, easy for them to see. Some people put it on the fridge. Some people print it out and keep it with them. It really doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're reminding yourself each day why it's so meaningful, and that's what's going to keep you motivated, because it's specific to you and it's very unique. There'll be very unique reasons, and everybody's reasons are different. And one of the other, sorry.
Always said, no, not at all. So something we talked about when we set up goals, we set up SMART goals, like goals that are clear, that are achievable, that are really, something that resonate with that particular individual, right? So that is very important. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
SMART.
Go ahead.
That's fine. I was just going to touch on that point, the SMART goals, because that's something that people do tend to set. They're quite important for, making sure that your goal is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. But in NLP, they actually take SMART goals that one step further, and they encourage you to write SMART goals in a very specific written format that basically increases your chances of being able to make the goal more successful, and it increases the likelihood that you will actually achieve it, because this is something that they it basically builds on the idea of SMART goals, and also they add the element of something called future pacing. And future pacing is basically where you encourage the client to imagine having already achieved the goal in the present moment. So you're getting them to engage in what it feels like to be in that place where you've already achieved your weight loss goal, and to experience it through your 5 senses. So in a session with a client, what I might do is invite the client to set the scene using their senses, telling me about, I might ask questions like, what can you see? What can you hear? What are people saying to you? What are you saying to yourself? What are you feeling? What kind of smells are there? What kind of tastes there are? And this is basically encouraging you to really mentally invest in the experience of having already achieved your goal. What does it feel like to be there? And this is an exercise that I tried that really encouraged me to have this image of myself in the future, and helped. It's actually an image I keep with me today, and I always remember it because I felt that it was very, very powerful. And it's interesting how that experience can really help you connect and invest emotionally and physically to that experience and to that goal.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's the power of the subconscious mind, like when you really
Exactly.
have that, it needs to, no matter what we are aiming at in life, and we need to, it needs to come from within. It's like, like you said, you, with your practice, like imagine you already achieved the goal, like you are already in that stage, right?
Yeah.
And so it needs to be within ourselves first, like with the desire and the want, and then there we can actually act on, take the actions, but it starts really with the concept, like within,
Yeah.
So I love that. This is really actually very important, because we, I mean, like lots of people, like we discussed earlier, we rarely think about like how it really relates to our mental state,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's more of like, okay, I heard maybe this kind of theory is very popular right now to help people to lose weight, so I'm going to get on that dietary, whatever. And without really thinking about what really resonated with you, and like if I do go on this dietary, and how it is going to affect me, if it's really for me, right? Because it does affect us mentally. And lots of people, they started the weight management or weight loss journey. They tried it again and again so many times, and then they failed, and then they feel like defeated, and then they frustrated, and it's like such a culture, and they're just going back and forth, and it's so I think it's very important that you shared is like really understanding like what it is for you, right? And understand like the actions we take, it actually has such big impact on our health, mental health.
Exactly. Yeah, massively. Massively. I really like what you said about the kind of unconscious mind, because it really is about tapping into that. And our unconscious mind doesn't really know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So by engaging in something like that, you're really tapping into what motivates you and what speaks to you when it comes to this weight loss goal. And it's like what you said about people don't often check in with, is this the right fit for me? And it's kind of like, how nutrition's, you can kind of see nutrition like it's like fashion, where there's these latest trends that people want to try because it's latest fashion, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right fit for you, just maybe because of your body type. And it's exactly the same with nutrition. And this comes back to that concept of making sure you've found something that suits you and that actually works for the way that your body is made up, and being able to see if it's a right fit for you, and why that might be or why it's not.
It's definitely, it's so big. I mean, it's so big. Definitely, it's like even for you, like you said, nutritious or dietary, it's really for each individual. We are all by individual. We are all different. What works for one person does not necessarily work for the other person, right? So it's very important to really figure it out and listen to our body, like really realize what it is for me, how it affects me, not just like diving to something because it's popular, because it's because it's what other people are doing right now, So that is so be very mindful, right? Be really be aware of what this is so important to understand at the beginning, before we just engage into any kind of dietary losing weight thing. So, and also I think we talked about it's very important to also understand that mental health and the relationship between mental health and physical health, right? Sometimes we just say, "Oh, okay, I don't feel good." It's like people depressed, people feel unmotivated and feel bad, like mentally, but like not realizing it. Maybe it has something to do with their physical health. Maybe they are ill, but without knowing it. Maybe it's the food that they have been eating. Maybe it's something they ate yesterday. Like cause those kind of things. So it's like a really very, very direct relationship between physical health and mental health.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And like you said, that concept of bio-individuality, which we're quite familiar with health group coaching, is so important. And it kind of goes back to that saying about, one man's meat is another man's poison. What might work for me might not work for you. And it's really important that, that can really set you up to fail if you're trying to, start a new weight loss journey and you're getting frustrated with lack of results, because it might be that you've not found the right fit, and that can then have a further negative impact on, then it's not about willpower, it's not about determination, it's just about the fact that maybe you haven't found the right fit for you. And something we talk about a lot in therapy is this concept of how we think and the thoughts that we have affects our emotions, and that's going to have a knock-on effect in terms of the foods that we choose. So if you're noticing that you've got foods that you're eating foods that might be having a bit of a negative impact on you. So you might have something to eat and you notice that you're more bloated, or that you're nauseous, or that you're getting headaches. And I think in the West, it can be really easy for us to ignore those signs, because we're so used to keep going and going and going. And there's this norm, to push past it and to keep going and push past those limits. And, it's our bodies that actually tell us what we need to know. If we're in a place where we can listen to what our bodies are saying, it tells us everything that we need to know. And that's where we lose out. That's the little key to letting us know, is this the right fit for me? Is this kind of what my body wants, or is it what my body doesn't want? And this is where getting to know your body is really, really important. And obviously with COVID happening and the lockdowns, we were kind of pushed out of our usual routines, and you know, it's very hard for us to find this new normal and adjust to it. So it's very easy for us to look to, you know, more unhealthy choices, because when we weren't used to this new routine, we didn't know it was coming, and we just had to find a way to adjust. And you know, that's where we start talking about this psychobiological impact on foods. If you eat foods that don't make you feel good, it's going to have a knock-on effect of how you then perceive yourself and perceive others and the situations around you. And that's what we don't want. We want to be eating more foods that do make us feel good, and eating less of foods that don't make us feel good. So,
yeah, absolutely. So, what kind of tips then you can share with us if somebody is thinking about getting on the weight management journey? Like,
yeah,
something specific that you think that people should be paying attention to?
sure. So, in addition to the future pacing I was talking about, if you collate that information, you can use future pacing to actually put together a very specific goal. And then once you have that goal, that will help you navigate through why the goals are so important, number one. But then also, one of the things that really trips us up is this inner critic that sometimes comes up, particularly if you've been struggling with your weight for some time. It can be hard to get out of the routine of falling into old habits, or feeling like there's a barrier to why you can't achieve this goal. So one of the things that I would definitely encourage is challenging that inner critic using the 3 C's, and that's challenging, using compassion, and celebrating your wins. So with challenging, I'm talking about sort of naming and shaming those negative thoughts and coming up with an alternative view, which isn't always easy. I mean, we've all heard those terms, Debbie Downer, negative Nancy, or what have you. It could be Fred. It really doesn't matter. It's not the name that's important. It's being able to challenge the view and how you do that, because by not challenging that negative self-talk, it's kind of like you're allowing that voice to undermine your confidence and undermine what you feel like you can achieve and what you're actually capable of, which is what we don't want. And that's going to stop you from being able to feel confident with this weight loss journey. And one of the things I would definitely encourage is to, if you can't name it, if it's weird to do that, try and think of a close friend, or maybe a close family member that you know feel close to and that you trust, and think about what they would say. You know, how would they tackle this negative voice, and how would they face the situation to give you the confidence to feel like you're coming out of yourself and being able to think like somebody else that you think is a good role model for you, and demonstrating healthy behaviors. So I feel like that's really, really useful, and that'll help you basically challenge that view from a perspective of strength, rather than feeling like, oh, I don't know, I can't really cope with this. We want to question those things, because by challenging the view, we're questioning, is this negative voice actually telling me something that's true, or is this fact, or is this opinion? Which one is it? Because we know that weight isn't permanent. We know that weight gain isn't permanent, and it's something that can come off. It's hard sometimes to get it off, but it's something that can be removed depending on what approach you use. And it's that belief that you want to bring back to the fore, rather than, you know, when you hear things, negative talk to yourself, where you're saying, you know, I've always been overweight, I'm not going to get this weight off, you know, I've failed so many times before, why is this time going to work? Well, that's not helpful. But obviously being able to challenge those views and exercise that mental muscle when you start to do that, can help break down those barriers, so you feel a little bit stronger. Challenging you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's self-talk. You know, we're just going through the thoughts, like we have so many thoughts every day, and I think majority of the thoughts, like 70% or 80% of thoughts then that go through our minds every day are actually negative. You know, that's how we are wired to be like. But to get, I mean, it's very important to start with something, like you said, set up the goals, like your suggestion is knowing why we are doing this, and then set up specific goals, and that works, that can be, you know, practical from that particular person. But weight loss is also, I think it's if we use that as the ultimate goal, maybe it's just such a pressure, because we just need to watch, like, oh, if my weight is dropping today, or like creating such anxiety, especially for people who have been doing that over and over again. That's very, very challenging. So I So my approach to that is like, it's really about creating a healthy lifestyle and
Mm.
creating a healthy relationship with the food and
Yeah,
with
it's
yourself
really good.
as well. You know, the relationship is relationship with the
Yeah,
things around us, with people around us, and also most importantly, relationship with ourselves, right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, so we do that, and we have like really understanding the importance to create this really healthy relationship with the foods and with
Yeah,
ourselves and with the people, and there probably that's very beneficial for the weight, for the goal of weight loss, you know, weight management, I think.
definitely, especially when, and that goes nicely with the aspect of compassion. I think compassion is a very nice space for you to be in. It's a much more healthy state of mind to be in, to be able to tackle a weight loss goal, rather than coming from a place of, you know, telling yourself off. And I think, you know, we can be quite hard on ourselves, especially women in the West. I think we can, you know, we've got so many roles to juggle, and, you know, got lots of responsibility, and we put a lot of pressure and expectations on ourselves. And compassion just gives us an opportunity to come out of that place of guilt or shame around maybe having stumbling blocks for our weight loss journey in the past, and just sort of forgive yourself a little bit, and maybe focus more on, right, I know I can do this. I know I've got the ability to do that. And the fact that you're even investing time and energy into wanting to lose weight is one of the ultimate, you know, examples of self-care. You're investing in yourself, and that is compassion, and that is, you know, an ultimate aspect of self-care, and which is what you want to encourage that. So yeah.
I really love that because we are so good at being compassionate for other people. Like our
Mm,
family, friends, we are so bad at
yeah,
being compassionate with ourselves, which is we actually very lots of times we're just so critical. Like we put so much
yeah,
pressure on ourselves, like why everybody else can do it, why I cannot do this, why I'm still not achieving that goal, what
yeah,
you know, like we just be so hard on ourselves and really not understanding that this is actually not helping, you know.
yeah,
And I think treat yourself as your best friend, right? It's like
definitely,
if it
absolutely,
was your best friend, if you are observing your best friend is going through this journey and
yeah,
struggling, and what are you going to say to your friend, and what
yeah,
are you going to do for help? And I think that kind of mindset, it can be applied for this process, and it would be very
yeah.
helpful.
Definitely. I think that's where celebrating small wins comes in, because I don't know why we do tend to speak to ourselves really harshly. We speak to ourselves in ways we would never speak to our friend ever. And it's almost like we believe that if we speak to ourselves harshly at a time when we feel like we should have done better, we think that'll get us back on track a lot faster, or we'll feel that that'll, you know, help us focus a lot more. But it actually has the opposite effect, because that goes back to what we were saying earlier about negative self-talk makes us feel negative. We experience negative emotions, so it doesn't help us. It's not beneficial for us to speak to ourselves in that way. And you want to be celebrating those small wins, because this might be a new challenge for you. You might not have, you know, gone on a weight loss journey for many years or ever. And, you know, to celebrate each small step, those are the small steps that are going to contribute to the bigger overarching goal anyway. So you might not be used to the small changes that you're making in your mind every day, and those recognizing those little steps, and it's just as important. It's another way for you to show yourself compassion, actually.
Yeah,
You know,
and
to celebrate.
it's easier and also helpful that making this not just like it's a short term goal, not like
Yeah,
I need to do this within the next 1 month or 6 months or whatever, but make it more like a lifestyle, make it more like a
yeah,
habit, right? It's like everyday thing, like we need to eat breakfast, we need to sleep, we need to
yeah,
take shower. So treat this as a lifestyle, as part of
yeah,
life, as just not really focusing on the weight that we want to drop. I mean, if we started having this healthier lifestyle, that weight loss is going to be just the part of the results, you know, part of the
mm,
outcome. Yeah, and then there we probably won't have so much pressure of like, oh, why I still haven't done that yet, or like
yeah,
when we have this timeline, we just feel like so pressured, right? And like it's so
yeah,
create lots of anxiety. But I
mm,
think it's really about everyday life, right? Because
yeah,
if we could be lose weight, I mean, if we be like very aggressive, we could lose weight, lose 10 pounds within 1 month or whatever. Um,
yeah,
But the thing is, what will happen after 1 month, right? If our
Exactly.
lifestyle not changed, if we're still doing the same thing as we did before, and those 10 pounds are going to come back, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but if we already start building this healthier lifestyle, now even if we only just lose 2 pounds or 1 pound within the
Yeah,
first month, but gradually, it's going to
yeah,
happen because you started having this healthier lifestyle. You
yeah,
start working on yourself and
yeah,
mentally and physically. So eventually you
yeah,
get to where you are, and then there to be able to maintain that because the whole lifestyle changed, right? So it
definitely.
really just becomes something so natural, not
Yeah,
something it's so impossible like a mission to work
yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about the goal beyond the goal and making sure that, is this another short-term fix what you've done before, or could this be part of a longer-term goal that will help you maintain your weight over time so that you don't have to feel that you've got to keep going back on another journey. Like you said, it's just part of being a lifestyle change rather than I'm going to lose this much weight in this amount of time and that's going to be the end of it. It's not a long-term plan, and which is not what you want. If you've done that cycle before, you want to kind of switch it up so that you're not doing the same thing and expecting different results. So yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. So if people want to follow you on social media, how they can find you?
They can follow me on Instagram at Bonita the Coach, or if they can email me as well at bonitathecoach@outlook.com.